It is your Feel Good Breakfast Show right here on S3. Welcome back to it. Love hanging out with you on here on Expresso. Now, very important day, Freedom Day. It is a significant day in the history of South Africa, commemorating the first democratic elections held in the country on the 27th of April in 1994. Now, these were the first post-apartheid national elections to be held in South Africa where anyone could vote regardless of race. And with us today to discuss the significance of this day and the role of heritage and museums in preserving its memory is Christiane Julius, the director of the District 6 Museum. Good morning, Christiane. Lovely to have you.
Thank you.
And happy Freedom Day to you as well.
Thank you.
Lest we forget.
Yes.
And I'm finding I'm having to explain that day to people in a way that I've never had to. We might be forgetting. We might have disconnected from how absolutely important that watershed moment was. Are we doing enough? Should this be just a one-day-a-year public holiday remembrance, or is there deeper underpinning here? Are we getting legacy right in this space?
Yeah. So, I mean, I work at the District 6 Museum, and we really believe in the power of stories. And the fact that stories are not just about your experience in the present day, it's about your experience under apartheid, and how people experience the everyday living under apartheid. And I think what is really important for us, you can have museums, you can have galleries, you can have fantastic monuments that speak to the importance of this day and the importance of this moment. But if you're not speaking to your parents or your grandparents about what that moment meant, and that becomes part of your family's story and legacy, I think we're losing out a bit. So we encourage people to visit sites and museums, but it's really also about sharing your own personal experiences.
Absolutely, and it really is, it comes down to those stories and telling stories. And I think a lot of people, forget about the importance of museums and having those stories. And, when we take a look at a topic like Freedom Day, it is such a big topic, multifaceted across our society as well. And even though we say, it's been 29 years, on paper, there's freedom, but there's still so much challenges out there. What is the museums, or what are the museums, specifically the District 6 Museum, doing to kind of spearhead and look or take these challenges head on so that people don't forget these stories?
Yeah. So we want people to tell the stories of the past, but we're also looking at sort of 29 years later, what has happened in District 6, for example.
Yeah.
We know that in District 6, the issue of land restitution is always up. It's a hot topic for debate.
Constant. Yeah.
And so this idea of coming back to District 6, what does that really mean 29 years later? Do people feel as though the dignity has been restored? Do they feel like justice has been served in some way or the other?
Has that story changed?
And has that story changed? And so as museums, besides the District 6 Museum, museums should be spaces for those debates, those critical debates. It should be a space where, whether you agree or disagree, South Africans like the idea of sitting around a fire.
Yeah.
It's dynamic tension. We need that.
Yes, and we need that,
to drive
and we need
us.
it in sort of honest ways, but also ways that are respectful of the different opinions that are out there, because we know that there are so many feelings.
I think also that's what it comes down to, is that respect amongst us. It doesn't matter what you live out in your own personal life or what you believe in, and you don't necessarily have to agree with everything, but there is that respect as a baseline, which I think is so important, that I think a lot of people also miss.
Yeah.
It speaks to the human condition at the moment, and there is an opportunity. You kind of feel like change is happening so quickly now, for good or for bad. Within that, we might be disconnecting from vitally important. And I'm so glad when you said those moments, because I can remember my mom, what that day looked like for her. The voting station that she was working in got held hostage for a while. There was some crazy, you forget those markers at that time. Why is it so important for us to look back to inform the future? Because I think we often get rooted in a moment, and we need to understand, for instance, the socio-economic repercussions of that time, because that's where the problem is now. It's not a political answer, it's a different answer. Why do we need to be able to see the past to move forward?
Because I think there are lessons in what was essentially the anti-apartheid movement in the 80s, and the lessons are that of solidarity.
True north, yeah.
Yes, and it's about also understanding that there was the element of non-racialism, that as South Africans, when we're so quick to sort of divert to race as reasons for why things are going wrong, there's a way to actually build solidarity with each other, and those lessons need to be sort of taken forward. Post-1994, there's almost a sigh of relief. You want to believe that the state is going to take care of you, that there is a way to build the country. And I think what was really an important lesson in the 1980s is that we did it ourselves. We forged our own path and we forged our own destiny in that way. And I think that is a very important lesson.
It almost feels like, and I suppose because we're always sitting at that table with all of these amazing, these exponents of our future, the people that are guiding that ship, we have an opportunity often to talk to them. And I keep being hit by the notion that change isn't a moment in history, it's a constant moment now of being focused. And we need to know why, and this is our why, and I'm hoping that kids can reconnect to that why.
But that is exactly it. I want to ask you this, with the work that you guys are doing at the District 6 Museum, you know, we want to put a large focus on the youth, because they are the ones that's now going to carry forward this message, this legacy. I mean, yes, it's been 29 years now, but what are you doing for your side to really hone in on the youth?
So we use the story of District 6, but we know young people don't come from District 6. They don't necessarily understand how the city of Cape Town was shaped. And so for us, the principle is about reimagining the city as a city of people, not races. And so the idea is that young people have no idea of what apartheid was like, what it meant. It's the opportunity to bring their issues to the fore. So the access to education, service delivery, these are issues that young people are facing. And so when we're talking about forging that new common path, these are the issues that we need to build solidarity with young people around as well.
And I was saying off camera, the why within young people is amazing, because kids from an entire generation have disconnected a little bit from our baggage, connected with kids who look just like them in other parts of the world doing amazing things. And there is this renewed energy to shape and change the world. But how is that going to look? And that is changing every single day. And I think we really want to know right now where the traction needs to be happening on the ground. What does Freedom Day look like? And do you feel like you have the freedom rights that have been promised, or are they still in jeopardy? And we put it to you guys on our social media platforms and our WhatsApp line. So let's hear what you guys have had to say.
Yeah, we have. We have Taryn coming through and says, good morning, team. Have a wonderful day. Well, thank you very much for that. DA Beatboxer, happy Freedom Day. You know, I think this is just a lovely good morning connecting with Expresso, but we really want to tap into what does freedom mean to you. And like Graham said earlier on, not from a political point of view, in your own circles, in your own bubble at home, in your own reality as well. Daniel coming through there. Good morning, Expresso team. I love the show. I think our freedom is in jeopardy, and that as many of the youth should sign up to vote and make their voice heard. I mean, that's also another important topic, You know, making sure that the youth know the importance of going out and going voting, you know, when those opportunities come around, and not just like, well, I'm living my own life and doing my own thing.
Yeah. And outside of voting, I think there's so many NGOs, social justice activists who are sort of organizing.
They are the traction.
Yes, and they're organizing around very particular issues around housing. And so I think young people are leading those organizations and they're driving it. And so museums need to sort of connect with those spaces and work together in that way. Because I think as public spaces, we also have the opportunity to show people what young people are doing.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about the disruptors, the original influencers. If you feel powerless as a young person right now, connect to that time and imagine how the exponents of the anti-apartheid movement felt then. They were young. They were young men and women that were sacrificing so much for the notion of hope that they hadn't seen yet. If they were able to do that in that context, imagine what children, kids, young people today can do with the digital landscape. With the power in your hands, you can drive us towards freedom. And it's not something that happens in the past. It's born out of the past, but it's the future and it's the moment now. So what are you doing to shape our freedom today? Because ultimately, it is in your hands.